We're about to get going with my fabulous co-chair, her group, Cynthia's sitting over there, Brooks Permission's performing on APG, doing Jubilation.
Jubilate, jubilate, jubilation, jubilate, jubilate, jubilation, jubilate, jubilate, jubilation, jubilate, jubilate, jubilation, at our best, looking fine. See the sun and eyes all shine. Jubilate, jubilate, jubilation. Balloons up, streamers fly, lips smacking down on cherry pie. Jubilate, 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 jubilation. And there are so few times we all can share. We celebrate the center of something rare. Oh, we can lean on the laughter. It feels so good to be aware. Special day, glad it's here. Though we'll enjoy each piece of year. Jubilate, 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 jubilation. Special day, glad it's here. Though we enjoy each piece of year. Jubilate, 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 jubilation. Jubilate, 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 jubilation. Jubilate, 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 jubilation. Jubilate, jubilate, jubilation. Jubilate, jubilate, jubilation.
We think of the title itself, A Street in Bronzeville. This would be what? Basically, would you say this is a poetic record of your observations of the community itself?
Yes, a record of my observations and in some part of my experiences. Certain things in all the books have happened to me or to people that I have known, and I've colored and interpreted as best I could.
What of you, the creative artist herself? We think of you as Chicago. Was it always Chicago?
Yes. Yes, I've always lived in Chicago. I was born in Topeka, but I prefer to think of myself as a Chicagoan because I was taken to Topeka to be born, if I may put it that way. And when I was a month old, my mother brought me back to Chicago, and I've been here more or less ever since.
When was it poetry? The idea of poetry, the writing and the reading of it, when did this come into your into your felt life?
My parents always saw to it that we had books in the house, and my mother took me to the library at, I guess I was about 4 or 5, and I enjoyed reading poetry, and I tried to write it. I think I was about 7 at the time that I first tried to put rhymes together, and I've loved it ever since.
It seems, Gwendolyn, the whole world then is found really in Bronzeville, whether it's Matthew Cole, whether it's the event, whether it's the mother, and whether it's the girl I like who sang in the front yard.
Well, that girl was myself. My mother was very careful of her children, and at a certain time, we had to come into the front yard and stay there. We couldn't go wandering down the block anymore, and we used to envy the children who were free enough to do this. So I wrote, "I've stayed in the front yard all my life. I want to peek at the back, where it's rough and untended, and hungry weed grows. A girl gets sick of a rose. I want to go in the backyard now, and maybe down the alley, to where the charity children play. I want a good time today. They do some wonderful things. They have some wonderful fun. My mother sneers, but I say it's fine how they don't have to go in at 8:45. My mother, she tells me that Johnny May will grow up to be a bad woman, that George will be taken to jail soon or late. On account of last winter, he sold our back gate. But I say it's fine, honest I do, and I'd like to be a bad woman too, and wear the brave stockings of night black lace, and strut down the streets with paint on my face."
Oh, Gwendolyn Brooks, what things you were telling us about yourself. And you were wondering at the beginning, you said you think you're inarticulate when it comes. Sometimes I am what is known as glib, but you are truly articulate in what you write and even in the things you say with such economy. Even now I was thinking as this poem, your admiration for the rebel, too, seems to be there. I think of the...
Yes, I believe I do have such an admiration, in part, at any rate.
We are here for her tonight because she was here for us. Because she took the invisibles and made us see them, made us see each other, made us see Big Bessie, Matthew Cole, Maud Martha, a homeless old black woman, an uncle who gets too close, and a little girl in her front yard who wants to break free. We are here for her tonight because she showed us what good writing really looked like. We are here because she loved writers and artists of all kinds. We are here because she created awards that previously did not exist. Because she went into schools and created prizes that showed children that basketball, football, and running a track, as exciting and important as they may be, were not the only things to be praised and measured. We are here because she extended her love of writing beyond her own pen and typewriter, reaching out to the act of writing in the world. And she demonstrated and celebrated that fact with notes of encouragement and opportunities for lesser-known writers to be heard. Yes, she paid for other people's transportation, other people's groceries, other people's rent, so the writing could go on. We are here because she listened, because she didn't just go out and read to people, but because she listened to the tens and hundreds of people who afterwards wanted to talk, needed to talk to her. Because she listened to us, to people outside of her window, To the news, so much news. And because she then took what she heard in the world and in her heart and spoke to us, she told us that it is our business to be bothered, but there remain large countries in your eyes. And even if you are not ready for day, it cannot always be night. We are here because she is still here. Thank you for celebrating my mother. Thank you for being a part of this Brooks Day at night. And thank you for being a part of this praise and jubilation. Can I get an amen? Amen. Well, all right. Okay, that was part one of my duties. Now, the other part of my duties is to give you a little bit more of a sense. I know Lisa was helping you out, giving you a sense of what's going on today. You know it's the 100 presentations. Don't panic. We're going to move quickly. But we wanted you also to understand that you're going to be seeing on the slides, you're going to be seeing the people who are performing. You can also follow along in the program, because if everybody's got 1 minute each, bios and everything like that, and introductions, ain't nobody got time for that. So we're going to be moving along, and you'll be able to see who the people are. You'll be able to hear about those people, look some of them up later if you want to find them in books and everything. And we'll just be able to go on and keep this party going. So thank you very much, and I'll be back a little later on.
I have in this little book, Young Poets Primer, number 12. In writing your poem, tell the truth as you know it. Tell your truth. Don't try to sugar it up. Don't force your poem to be nice or proper or normal or happy if it does not want to be. Remember that poetry is life distilled, which I've said thousands of times, and that life is not always nice or proper or normal or happy or smooth or even edge.
Chicago, it is so wonderful. It is so wonderful. The last time I was in this room was November 1st, a year ago, and I didn't know that I would be so ill, but I couldn't ever be too ill, and I told Nora if they had to bring me in on a stretcher today, I would be here. Because Gwendolyn Brooks, and this is memory, and they said, Nora said, please don't be over a minute, Val. So I'm gonna tell you some memory, and this is funny. We'll do the serious stuff later. One morning, Gwendolyn called me and said, Val, you have to come over here right away. I said, okay. And she said, there's this wonderful new artist, and he's just wonderful, and I've got his, not CD, what do you call it? We have album. Yeah, she said, I got his album. I said, okay, so I drove over 7428 Evans, and Gwendolyn was playing Al Green, Love and Happiness. And so we played the whole CD over and over, and we danced and had a good time. And she said, I got a surprise for you. And I said, what's the surprise? And she said, well, on Sunday, we're going to see him because I have tickets for the amphitheater. And I said, and she said, when the young people, and if they see me there, and when we got there, all these church people were standing in line with these church ladies with the church hats on, right? And usually Gwendolyn and I got free tickets to everything, but she paid for these. And we had a wonderful time. It was love and happiness. Thank you. And the reason I'm this short is Nora told me I was going to
Martin Luther King Jr., April 4th, 1968. A man went forth with gifts. He was a prose poem. He was a tragic grace. He was a warm music. He tried to heal the vivid volcanoes. His ashes are reading the world. His dream still wishes to anoint the barricades of faith and of control. His word still burns the center of the sun, above the thousands and the 100,000s. The word was justice. It was spoken, so it shall be spoken, so it shall be done.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and it sings to the universe who we are. We are grandmother's prayers, grandfather's dreamings, ancestors' breath, spirit of love. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are one.
The bean eaters. They eat beans mostly, this old yellow pair. Dinner is a casual affair. Plain chipware on a plain creaking wood, tin flatware. Two who are mostly good, two who have lived their day, but keep on putting on their clothes and keep putting things away. And remembering with twinklings and twinges as they lean over the beans in their rented back room that is full of beads and receipts and dolls and clothes, tobacco crumbs, vases, and fringes.
My name is Shakila Banks. This is the egg boiler. Being you cut your poetry from wood. The boiling of the egg is heavy art. You come upon it as an artist should, with rich-eyed passion and with straining heart. We fools, we cut our poems out of air. night color, wind soprano, and such stuff. And sometimes weightlessness is much to bear. You mock it, though you name it not enough. The egg spooned gently to the avid pan and left a strict 3 minutes or the 4 is your enough in art for any man. We fools give courteous ear, then cut some more, shaping a gorgeous nothingness from cloud. You watch us, eat your egg, and laugh aloud. Ha, ha, ha.
Life is for me and is shining. Inside me, I feel stars and sun and bells and singing. There are children in the world all around me and beyond me, here and beyond the big waters. I want the children to live and to laugh. I want them to sit with their mothers and fathers and have happy cocoa together. I do not want fire screaming up to the sky. I do not want families killed in their doorways. Life is for us, for the children. Life is for mothers and fathers. Life is for tall girls and boys in the high school on Henderson Street. It's for people in African tents, for people in English cathedrals, for people in Indian courtyards, the people in cottages all around the world. Life is for us and is shining. We have a right to sing. Cynthia and Nora gave me the greatest honor to illustrate both a YA adult book and a picture book written by Gwendolyn Brooks. I had had the honor of meeting her and spending time with her. And Nora became my good friend, and Cynthia became my good friend. And then I began working on the book, and I had a stroke. And it gave me the reason to keep going. I was saved because I finished both of those books after coming through the stroke. Thank you.
Then there was Clement Louis, a little boy at the back on the second floor. Louis' life was not terrifically tossed, saltless rather, or like an unmixed batter, lumpy. Little Clement's mother had grown listless after the desertion. She looked as though she had been scrubbed up and down on the washing board, doused from time to time in gray and noisome water. But little Clement looked alert. He looked happy. He was always spirited. He was in second grade. He did his work and had always been promoted. At home, he sang. He recited little poems. He told his mother little stories wound out of the air by himself. His mother glanced at him once in a while. She would have been proud of him if she had had the time.
Hey, Gwendolyn Brooks. I have a reflection on Gwendolyn Brooks. I remember, I think it might have been probably 93, 94 or so. Someone mentioned earlier that she would give away money, and she was pretty generous in that kind of way. She would have contests. She had an impromptu contest, and I think Brother Haki, can attest to this, an impromptu poetry slam at the Black Writers Conference. I think it was 94, and I won $100 from Gwendolyn Brooks. And that was like a third of my rent, so it was a big deal. It was a really a great opportunity, because not only did I win the $100, but I saw how generous she was in person. That's the first one. And number two is very kind of different, but If you get this book called A Capsule Course in Black Poetry Writing, published by Broadside Press. Willie Williams, where you at? Willie Williams out there from Broadside Press. In the very back of the book, she has a page dedicated to one of her poems, and you see all the drafts of Gwendolyn Brooks' poem, where she has handwritten it, and then it goes from draft to draft to draft. And for me, that was a great opportunity to see her mind really at work. So thanks to Gwendolyn Brooks. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Hello.
Young Heroes 2, to Don at Salam. I like to see you lean back in your chair. So far, you have to fall, but do not. Your arms back, your fine hands in your print pockets. Beautiful, impudent, ready for life, a tide storm. I like to see you wearing your boy smile, whose tribute is for two of us or three. Sometimes in life, things seem to be moving, and they are not. And they are not there. You are there. Your voice is the listened for music. Your act is the consolidation. I like to see you living in the world.
So you looked at audience participation and you said, what does that mean? So if my fearless partner in crime, Lisa, you out there? Okay. She'll be out there in a second. So while she's working her way out there, so that'll give you a chance to think. Because what we're going to ask people to do is to speak about Gwendolyn Brooks 10 words or less. So there's only going to be a couple of people who will have a chance to do it this time, but we're coming back. So if you get one that you are like, oh, dang, I could have said this, say it the next time. So, so we may have a missing Lisa, I'm not sure. So what we'll do for this one right now is there some brave person that wants to pop up a hand and say, I've got 10 words or less on Gwendolyn Brooks? Just jump on up if you're there. Okay, all right. My first book of, see, that was 5. Okay, so so one more person in this particular round. Okay, 10 words or less. Yes.
I first read Gwendolyn Brooks as a girl.
Okay. Thank you. We've got one more. Okay, we'll let it go for one more. Where? And on that note, we'll be back.
Malcolm X for Dudley Randall. Original, ragged, round, rich, robust. He had the hawk man's eyes. We gasped. We saw the maleness raking out and making guttural the air and pushing us to walls. And in a soft and fundamental hour, a sorcery devout and vertical beguiled the world. He opened us, who was a key, who was a man.
White girls are peculiar people. They cannot keep their hands out of their hair. Also, they are always shaking it away from their eyes when it is not in their eyes. Sometimes when it is braided, they forget and shake and smooth what is nothing away from their shameless eyes. I laugh. My hair is short. It is close to my head. It is a small crown of dots. My head is clean and free. I do not shake my head to make my brains like a crazy dust.
Crystal Grover Webb for Jamie Thomas. I've lived through lemons, sugaring them. When handed a lemon, make lemonade. That is what some sage has said. When handed a lemon, make lemonade. There's always a use for lemon juice. Do you know what to do with trouble, children? Make lemonade. Make lemonade. Handed a lemon, make lemonade.
I guess I'd better offer you We Real Cool. Most young people know me only by that poem. I don't mean that I dislike it, but I would prefer it if the textbook compilers and the anthologists would assume that I've written a few other poems. I wrote it because I was passing by a pool hall in my community one afternoon during school time, and I saw therein a little bunch of boys, I say here in this poem, 7, and they were shooting pool. But instead of asking myself, why aren't they in school? I asked myself, I wonder how they feel about themselves.
We real cool, the pool players, 7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we thin gin, we jazz June, we die soon.
How do you make public the life of a deeply private person? She lived her life loud, both on and off the page.
She was an all-season warrior.
Gwendolyn Brooks was the first Black person to win a Pulitzer Prize.
What she had done, of course, was be incredibly brilliant.
So how do you tell the story of an icon? You ask questions, you seek the truth, and then you get out of the way.
The end of the day. It's usually from inside the door that I takes my peek at the sun, pulling off his clothes and calling it a day. Not that I couldn't sneak out on the back porch a bit, but the sun and me's the same. Could be. Cap the job, then to hell with it, in spite of something to see. But it's off. Yes, off. Until time for the sun to come back. Then it's wearily off for me.
If you're always right, I mean always right, something's wrong. The cycles of birth and death for the soul are initiatory transitions in the process of eternal life and revelation. May those under our feet breathe the warmth of community unto us, so the peace we seek mounts our bodies and sit on the chairs of our hearts, sprinkling love and joy around us all. Ashe.
Audience participation. So, have you been thinking? Have you been considering? Okay, so who have we got? Yay.
Gwendolyn Brooks was my first pen pal.
Oh. I see one over there. Do I see a hand over there? Okay. Okay, go. Show off, Artie. We do one more. Okay. Okay. Okay, bye.
Hey, everybody. No, yeah? Yeah, no? Okay. I was a little disappointed when I got here because I didn't hear any of his music. Prince? Oh, this is not Prince's birthday. I'm sorry. Got to not so dirty, babe. But what we'd like you to do at this time is just take a second, inhale, exhale, and breathe. It's time for section 2.
The crazy woman. I shall not sing a May song. A May song should be gay. I'll wait until November and sing a song of gray. I'll wait until November. That is the time for me. I'll go out in the frosty dark and sing most terribly. And all the little people will stare at me and say, that is the crazy woman who would not sing in May.
So I'm going to read a poem from the Golden Shovel Anthology by Maxine Kumin. So Maxine Kumin preceded Gwendolyn Brooks by a few years is what's now called the Poet Laureate of the United States. And this borrows a line from Bronzeville Woman in a Red Hat by Ms. Brooks. It's called At the Capitol Hill Suites, 1985. When I asked for Gwen at the desk, they hesitated, said they only had permission to provide her phone, never divulged the room number. It was as if I had malevolent intent. She answered on ring 1. Yes, come up, come up. We'll change together into our best clothes. We'll saunter to the Poet Laureate event together, bring down the house, take our bows before and after and before.
Tootle. Whitney Young. Whitney, you are a Canada structure hulking an event, and you confounded and offended them out there. They saw you arch and precise. They saw that you were wise, arch, and precise. They did not like it, Whitney. We will mark your bright survival over death. We share your long comprehension that there is exhilaration in watching something caught break free. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? I'm Kevin Koval. I know I don't look anything like Kevin Koval. Seriously, we should all take a moment silently to think about Kevin and his family. He had a family emergency and he had to go to Florida. But I know how he gets down, and it's going to be okay. And that's what we do. So ashe for Kevin's family. Welcome. This is nice, right? Come on, man. This is nice. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning poet in the building, and singers and dancers and teachers and students. This is dope, man. This is what it's all about. That's why she's the best ever. Music for Martyrs, for Steve Biko, killed in South Africa for loving his people. I feel a regret, Steve Biko. I am sorry, Steve Biko. Biko, the emerger, laid low. Now for the shapely American memorials, the polished tears, the timed tempest, the one-penny poems, the hollow guitars, the joke old jaunty, the vigorous veal-stuffed voices, the singings, the white, lean lasses with streaming yellow hair. Now for the organized nothings. Now for the weep words. Now for the rigid recountings of your tracts, your triumphs, your tribulations. That's music for martyrs. So, now this is section 2. And it's not just Prince's birthday. And it's not just Gwendolyn Brooks' birthday. It's also Nikki Giovanni's birthday today. Ashe, Nikki Giovanni. So this is audience participation. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's try. True or false? Has Gwendolyn Brooks ever been on Soul Train? I don't know. She could have been on Soul Train. She's Gwendolyn Brooks. She could have been on anything. Did Gwendolyn Brooks ever do a television commercial, true or false? What commercial? Because I don't know. Who? She did not do a Charmin commercial. Did she really? Somebody, I'll look it up. I got one of these smartphones. You ask. Okay, true or false? Gwendolyn Brooks, that's not false. You don't even know it yet. True or false? Gwendolyn Brooks, you're not helping me. True or false? Gwendolyn Brooks has an entire wing and school built for her here in the city of Chicago. Gwendolyn Brooks has more than 5 schools named after her. Gwendolyn Brooks is the reason why all poets are really good or really bad poets. See you guys in a minute. Thank you.
So Hockey and Walter introduced me to books that I'd never heard of,
They were responsible for me reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, for reading The Rich and the Super Rich by Ferdinand Lundberg. That book taught me a lot about what was going on in our society. And I had just been this little Alice in Wonderland drifting. I mean, I had certain strong feelings, as you can tell when you read some of the poems in my first book, A Street in Bronxeville, but I hadn't organized my feelings, and they helped me.
A welcome song for Lainey and Zinga. Lainey and Zinga is our daughter, Safisha Madabuti and my daughter, and Gwendolyn Brooks was our daughter's godmother. And when she was born, this is a poem that she wrote for her. A welcome song for Lainey and Zinga. Lainey means made clean, and Nzinga is named after Queen Nzinga of Angola. Hello, little sister. Coming through the rim of the world. We're here to meet you and to mold and to maintain you. With excited eyes, we see you. With welcoming ears, we hear the clean sound of new language, the language of Laini and Zinga. We love and we receive you as our own.
Old woman rap. Things are different now. I'm not strong. I don't want to go out in the yard to see what's wrong. I don't want to mow grass for the sun to scorch. I don't want to govern the gutter nor paint the porch. I just want to curl myself into a little old woman ball, or smile to myself, or eat cherries or catfish in a clean room away down a hall.
Pygmies are pygmies still, though perched on Alps, but can see better there and laughing there, pity the giants wallowing on the plain, giants who bleat and chafe in their small grass, seldom to spread the palm, to spit come clean. Pygmies expand in cold, impossible air, cry fie on giant shine, poor glory which pounds breastbone, punily screeches, and has reached no Alps or knows no Alps to reach.
We're not doing that again. How many people here knew Gwendolyn Brooks? That is very important. I had the pleasure of meeting her under some very auspicious circumstances that I will share later. She gave me the humph. If you know Gwendolyn Brooks at all, you know I'm not lying about the humph. I got the humph. First time I ever met her. How many people here, when you were like in elementary school, you know how on Black History Month, I know it's the short month. True. But on Black History Month, they'd have like Dr. King, W.B. Du Bois, and you see Gwendolyn Brooks. How many remember that? The cutout, right? Okay. I swear to God, I'm just trying to, you know, keep y'all in. The important part about Gwendolyn Brooks is this room and all these beautiful people, young and old, celebrating the centennial of one of the greatest poets that has ever lived on the planet. That is significant on its face, but more significant than that, I'm a product of Gwendolyn Brooks. Years after she was born, I come along, I'm hoping to bring somebody along, and that's what we all should be doing with our work. The idea is to bring people along. If you agree, say, I agree. Say it louder than that. If you agree, say, I agree. That is why Gwendolyn Brooks matters.
Big Bessie throws her son into the street. A day of sunny face and temper. The winter trees are musical. Bright lameness from my beautiful disease. You have your destiny to chip and eat. Be precise, with something better than candles in the eyes. Candles are not enough. At the root of the will, a wild, inflammable stuff. New pioneer of days and ways, be gone. Hunt out your own or make your own alone. Go down the street.
Old people working, making a gift of garden, or washing a car so other people can ride. A note of alliance, an eloquence of pride. A way of greeting, or sally to the world. From a street in Bronzeville, the old marrieds. But in the crowding darkness, not a word did they say, though the pretty coated birds had piped so lightly all the day, and he had seen the lovers in the little side streets, and she had heard the morning stories clogged with sweets. It was quite a time for loving. It was midnight. It was May. But in the crowding darkness, not a word did they say.
Yes, a tribute to the sculptor who is here. Would you stand up, or Sarah Miller? I forget just which door it is, but you will find my bust, my head, standing there, sitting there.
It's right there beside you.
Where? For goodness sake. I came in here and didn't even notice.
There it is. There it is. I
love it. Sarah, I'm sorry to say that so many people are telling me they don't think that looks like me, but I do. I see myself in there. And I really feel that way. I felt better about leaving here. That's the truth, ever since that was created.
For Sarah Miller, sculptor. Sarah, thank you for extending my life, for sending my life into bronze and beyond, as a clean pride, not to be tamed, not corralled. You see beyond seeables, see beyond flesh, beyond motion, images, beyond the hard burning. No longer walking through rooms, I shall be gone and not gone.
This is a golden shovel poem that borrows We Real Cool. We thought feminism was all legs, so we left the strands to move in their temper. Real school girls like the hair centimeter cool. We didn't know what bare skin was about till we strike searched our best friends. Purple lurks straight over any bone it takes to. Late, we didn't know blooming was never about how we thinned down to our knees. It wasn't all the pop we could sing, gin in a soda's attire. It was the colors we didn't know, sin we named a foul mauve, wisdom the only wound we die from. Our bodies grew into blues, left the long-haired jazz. Soon, we named the razors how you would a cloud in June.
My brothers greet me every afternoon. My brothers lay low and hip slapper, may do better now. Mo say they may. They wailed much. Behind those banging bars in the jail, they wailed much. Now they breathe fresh air when they require. Mo has to serve up beans and sweet potatoes, wide waffles, peanut syrup, and a couple of dollars every day. She say, men must have money in they overalls. My brothers look me quickly at the eye, quickly away. They say, hey, lil' bro, you watch yourself. 2 more pairs of twisty lips, 2 more pairs of whipped up eyes, 2 more pairs of hands in pockets decorate the corner now.
Seasons, a Gwendolyn Brooks experience. It's a book that has 160 pages, published by Brooks Permissions and Third Well Press Foundation. Seasons shares works of Gwendolyn Brooks, but it also shares a personal look into her life. Family, friends, and colleagues share precious memories. Including in the book is one poem that has never been published before. The writings in the books are broken down into seasons. We have summer, heat and powerful emotions, fall, mellowing and aging, winter, cold weather, cold heart, and beginning again. Spring, it's the section on beginnings and youth. It also includes a book of Gwen's that was out of print called Young Poets Primer. There was a clip from that earlier. Seasons is truly a Gwendolyn Brooks experience.
I'm reading from the book of Seasons. The children of the poor, too. What shall I give my children who are poor, who are adjudged the least wise of the land, who are my sweetest lepers, who demand no velvet and no velvety velour, but who have begged me for a brisk contour, crying that they are quasi-contraband because unfinished graven by a hand less than angelic, admirable, or sure. My hand is stuffed with mode, design, device, but I lack access to my proper stone, and plenitude of plans shall not suffice, nor grief nor love shall be enough alone to ratify my little halves who bear across autumn freezing everywhere.
Please open your hymnals to page 9, as we will do a call and response poem. The second sermon on the warped land, number 4. Are you ready? This is the hymnal if you didn't know. The time cracks into furious flower, lifts its face all unashamed, whose half-black hands assemble oranges, is tom-tom hearted, goes in bearing oranges and boom, and there are bells for orphans. A garbage man, not Donald Trump, is dignified. Big Bessie's feet hurt like nobody's business, but she stands bigly under the unruly scrutiny, stands in the wild weed. And is a moment of highest quality admirable. Nevertheless, live.
Hi, my name is Charles Donaldson, and this is a Golden Shovel poem that borrows the line, "Nobody knew where I was, and now I am no longer there," from the poem Boy Breaking Glass. And the title of my poem is The Side That Was. I want bullets to flatten until there is nobody left to remember how they used to break skin new. Wave caps with holes in them, and nobody knows where they came from or if they ever plan on leaving. I don't want to know what an officer looks like, not the side that was or the side that wasn't. I don't want to die this summer and only hear my name from the outcry of metal. Now, the other side of a gun has become a distant relative of mine who I never knew spoke the same language. I'm never speaking to my friends again. The ones who don't know what it's like to close mouths before caskets, what it's like to live longer than Sunday service, the ones whose holes were never there.
Hi, I'm Angela Jackson, and I just found out I have to do a memory. So I'll tell the same memory that I've been telling, though I have others. This is the one that sticks out. In 1979, I was in my kitchen, and I answered the kitchen phone, and it was Gwendolyn Brooks on the other end, and she told me, Angela, I'm calling to tell you you've won a Creative Writing Fellowship for Fiction from the Illinois Arts Council. And I started to cry. And she said, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because I don't have any money." And 2 days later, I received a check from her for $65. And my own mama got jealous because she didn't like another woman giving me money.
Gwendolyn Brooks is a quotable.
A quotable? Pick any subject. If it talks about something about people's lives, then
Gwendolyn Brooks said something about it.
a child's memory.
I stayed in the front yard all my life.
Gangbangers. Sores in the city that do not want to heal. Wait a minute, love. What about love?
Oh, this is the shining joy, the time of not to end.
I meant love.
Ooh, and lay loose Slim for a moment in the weekend bright bedclothes, then gently fold it into each other.
All right.
Inspiration.
Go ahead and live your life. You might be surprised. The world might continue.
I'm like, my little Bowtown gal. My little Bowtown gal has gone, Bowtown with powder and blue dye on her pale lids and on her lips. Dye sits quite commonly. I'm scarcely healthy-hearted or human. What can I teach my cheated woman? My Tondaleo, my black blonde, will not be homing soon. None shall secure her save the detective fingers of the moon.
She was born in Topeka, Kansas. She was only there for 3 months. Her parents already lived in Chicago. Her mother took her home to Topeka, to her home, her birthplace, to give birth so she could be with family, you know, her grandmother and whatnot. And then when Miss Brooks was 3 months old, they came right back to Chicago. She loved the city. She embraced all of its elements. It's good and it's bad, it's ugly.
The lovers of the poor arrive. The ladies from the Ladies' Betterment League arrive in the afternoon. Their guild is giving money to the poor. The worthy poor. The very, very worthy and beautiful poor. Perhaps just not too swarthy. Perhaps just not too dirty, nor too dim, nor passionate.
Has not been in vain. In honor of David Anderson Brooks, my father, July 30th, 1883 to November 21st, 1959. A dryness is upon the house my father loved and tended. Beyond his firm and sculptured door, his light and lease have ended. He walks the valleys, now replies to sun and wind forever. No more the cramping chambers chill, no more the hindering fever. Now out upon the wide clean air, my father's soul revives, all innocent of self-interest and the fear that strikes and strives. He who was goodness, gentleness, and dignity is free. Translates to public love, old private charity.
Hello, okay. Very quickly, if you are in groups 3 and 4, please come that way and come behind the stage. I'm Kevin Koval. Thank you for coming.
That was amazing. That was great. I cracked myself up, y'all. Listen, so while I was back there, I had some time to think. We have a great story that exists for millions of years. It's called The Prince and the Pauper. We got another story. The Prince and the Poet Laureate. What y'all think? They got the same birthday. I'm going to write it. Val Gray Ward is going to narrate it. It's going to be amazing. We're going big places. But before we do that, all y'all freeze. It's bus stop time. Come on, bus stop, please. Anybody want to do the bus stop? Well, come on up on the stage. Bring it to, you ain't going, it's not a solo dance, it's a group number. But I'm gonna tell you who's not gonna do it, me, because I don't know how to bus stop. Isn't that right, Mignon? Yeah. So here's the thing. From what I understand, I wasn't there, but I was told about how Gwendolyn Brooks liked to do the bus stop. And one time she was doing the bus stop, and she turned a little too soon. And she held it in that position until the rest of the group turned around and caught up with her. That's what I call leadership. And so, if anybody would like to join in the spirit and tradition of Gwendolyn Brooks and doing the bus stop, come on up to the stage. Come on. Girl, yeah. Come on, hey. She said, why you, what she said, don't threaten you with a good time. Come on up here. I'm glad, because I baby, if I start bus stopping, it's going to be a stop. A whole stop. Come on. This not a solo. Come on. Come on. Look, don't make me start calling out names. Like parents, they come with the music. They're trying to get y'all on the stage first. Marlon, come on up here right now, Marlon. Who else? Jess, Justice, Taylor, Marlo. Who? Mr. Who? Uh-oh. That was a lot of names. You said them fast. You got to bump that music, girl. That's the bus stop.
Up on the floor. So we can get down like we've done before. Name of my dance called the bus stop. Show enough guaranteed. Make you rock. Give me a clap right where you stand, cause I want you to get down like a well-tuned band. All right. Real big clap. All y'all freeze. One more clap. Bus stop, please. Real big clap. Everybody shout. One more clap. Toot your booty out. Real loud clap. Everybody freeze. One more clap. Bus stop, please.
Get it.
Real big clap. Everybody reverse. If you unstep, did not rehearse. Real big clap. Everybody reverse. You should be in step. Just had to rehearse. Real loud clap. All y'all freeze. One more clap. Bus stop, please.
Let me hear you say, uh-oh. Say, uh-oh. Say,
Real big clap. Everybody freeze.
now somebody scream.
New wave, please.
Let's give it up for our bus stoppers.
Real loud clap. All y'all freeze.
One more clap. Bus stop, please. Woo! Give me some.
All the men say yo. All the women say yo. Everybody say yo. Yo what? Yo what? Yo what?
Turn that off.
Be well. Real big clap. All y'all freeze. One more clap. Rock it out now, please. Rock it out. Rock it out.
Bring it down.
You go.
Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Okay. How low can you go? A little lower. Thank you. Y'all sure? Okay. All right. So the one thing that we did not do was we didn't inhale and exhale. All right, this is a chance to breathe. You got a good quick breathe. 5 minutes to breathe. Intermission is just 5 minutes, and we will be returning with our regularly scheduled program.
Hello, where my people at? All right. How was that intermission? Was it good for you? My name is Sandra Jackson. Welcome to Section 3 of BrooksDay at night. Behind the scenes. When I see a president, a vice president, a secretary of state on sparkling tile, beside noble columns of white, I think to myself, somebody got there early and swept and scrubbed. Somebody dusted. Before the president came, somebody buffed his shoes. The not too stiffened white of his shirt was not achieved by his own agility. At the invisible controls, some little weak-kneed, stricken, or powerful woman or man.
My grandmother's waiting for me to come home. My grandmother's waiting for me to come home. We live with walnuts and apples in a one-room kitchenette above the Someday Liquor Gardens. My grandmother sits in a red rocking chair, waiting for me to open the door with my key. She is black and glossy like coal. We eat walnuts and apples, drink root beer in cups that are broken above the Someday Liquor Gardens. I love my grandmother. She is wonderful to behold. With the glossy of her coal-colored skin, she is warm, wide, and long. She laughs and she lingers. Thank you.
An old black woman, homeless and indistinct. 1. Your every day is a pilgrimage, a blue hubbub. Your days are collected by canals of fear and self-troubling. And your nights, when you put you down in alley or cardboard or viaduct, your lovers are rats, finding your secret places. 2. When you rise in another morning, you hit the street, your incessant enemy. See, here you are in the so busy world. You walk, you pass the people. No, the people pass you. Here's a rich girl marching briskly to her charms. She is swayed and scarfed and belting and perfumed. She sees you not. She sees you very well. At 5 in the afternoon, Miss Rich Girl will go home to brooms and vacuum cleaner and carpeting. 2 cats, 2 marble top tables, 2 telephones, shiny green peppers, flowers in impudent vases, visitors. Before all that, there's luncheon to be known. Lasagna, lobster salad, sandwiches. All day there's coffee to be loved. There are luxuries of minor dissatisfaction, luxuries of plan. 3. That's her story. You're going to vanish, not necessarily nicely, fairly soon. Although essentially dignity itself. A death is not necessarily tidy, modest, or discreet. When they find you, your legs may not be tidy nor aligned. Your mouth may be all crooked or destroyed. Black old woman, homeless, indistinct. Your last and least adventure is review. Folks used to celebrate your birthday. Folks used to say, she's such a pretty little thing. Folks used to say, she draws such handsome horses, cows, and houses. Folks used to say, that child is going far.
Today, I learned the kura flower grows high in the mountains of Irigo Lubabesa, province Michi, population 39. Now I am coming home. This at least is real and what I know. It was restful learning nothing necessary. School is tiny vacation. At least you can sleep. At least you can think of love or feeling your boyfriend against you, which is not free from grief. But now it's real business. I'm coming home. My mother will be screaming in an almost dirty dress. The crack is gone, so a man will be in the house. I must watch myself. I must not dare to sleep.
Brooks responded to the uprisings with a poem she called Riot. She submitted it to Dudley Randall, the founder and editor of Broadside Press in Detroit. Broadside was one of only 4 Black-owned publishing companies in the nation.
Well, I had been telling a lot of young people to give their poems to Broadside Press. But here I was, as I've said before, safely in the harbor. And yet I was giving them this advice. It didn't seem right.
Many of the young writers in Brooks' workshop published with Broadside Press. In 1970, 53-year-old Gwendolyn Brooks joined them. Ending her long-term relationship with Harper and Row, she offered Broadside her autobiography, Report from Part 1.
The decision was that she was going to write for and directly to Black folks. She was not really caring about what white folks said about her work, whether they read it or not. Her primary interest was Black people.
And we all looked up and said, what a commitment. What a fantastic, loving commitment. Because you see, she just did not bring a book. She brought her name, her history, a following. She brought money to that company, of course, because she's saying, well, I'm now giving you my name, Broadside Press. Use it wisely, use it well.
Good evening. I would like to introduce you to the Celebrating Gwendolyn Brooks at 100 Story Map Journal. This website celebrates Brooks's poetic generosity. Would you advance to the next slide, please? Thank you. As you explore the story map, you can relive events in which Brooks herself participated through photos and stories that have been provided by the peoples whose lives she touched, as well as through selections from her own archives. This selection is an example of the story map that connects an individual's memories of her experience, of her encounter with Ms. Brooks, the personal items she contributed to the project on the right, and the missing piece of the puzzle we found in Brooks's archives in the middle. Here are a few other selections from the archives. The next slide. And if you go to slide 5, please. Thank you. I hope to see the story map continue to grow as more memories are submitted from people such as yourselves throughout the year. Happy birthday, Ms. Brooks, and may we remember your contributions for generations on end.
Good evening. My name is Regina Harris Bayaki, and I was inspired by Gwendolyn Brooks to found Haiku Festival and celebrate children through poetry readings, workshops, and special events, and to encourage them by giving them money so that one day they'll be the next Tyamba Jess who stands here and says, Haiku Festival paid 1/3 of my rent. Our Mrs. Brooks, poetry is life distilled. Support the mountain. Our Mrs. Brooks, poetry is life distilled. Support the mountain.
Hello, I'm Alaric Ryland, and I'm 13 years old, going into the 8th grade. The stories she wrote completes the great happiness. 100 sneaked by. The stories she wrote completes the great happiness. 100 sneaked by. Thank you.
Thank you for those of you who have stuck it out. I see it's a little bit thinner. So, short poem, After School. Not all the children come home to cookies and cocoa. Some come to crack cocaine. Some come to be used in various manners. One will be shot on his way home to warmth, wit, and wisdom. One teacher mutters, "My God, they are gone." One is ripe to send 10 people to the principal. One muses, "How did I serve or disturb them today?" One whispers, "The little black bastards." One teacher sees all children as clothing: the blue blouse, the green dress, the tight-fitting t-shirt. One takes home homework for the 20, the 30, the 41.
Inside me, I feel stars and sun and bells.
Inside me, I feel stars and sun and bells.
Inside me, I feel stars and sun and bells.
Inside me, I feel there are children in the world, all around me and beyond me. Life is for us and it's shining. We have a right to sing. Life is for us and it's shining. We have a right to sing. Life is for us and it's shining. We have a right to sing, to sing.
Leftist orator in Washington Park pleasantly punishes the gropers. Poor, pale-eyed, thrice gulped, amazed. It is white and rushed here. This is a crazy snow. I'm afraid the wind will not falter at any time in the night. I know you are frightened, and I know you know not where to go. I foretell the heat and yawn of eye and the drop of the mouth and the screech, the foolish, unhappy screech hanging high in the air. Because you had no dream or belief or reach, because you could only beseech, because you are nothing, saw nothing, did nothing at all, because there will be no thing for which you fall.
Woke up this morning with my eyes on Sister Gwen. I say, woke up this morning with my eyes on Sister Gwen. Woke up this morning with my eyes on Sister Gwen. Gonna live, gonna love, gonna resist, just like her. Woke up this morning with my eyes on Sister Gwen. Woke up this morning with my eyes on Sister Gwen. Woke up this morning with my eyes on Gwendolyn Brooks. Gonna live, gonna love, just like her. Love you, love her. A great, great woman, and I'm so glad you're doing this for her, because they call us always inspiration. She was a genius. It's about time we acknowledge that genius of this woman, Gwendolyn Brooks.
"19 cows in a slow line walking. When I was 5 years old, I was on a train. From a train window, I saw 19 cows in a slow line walking. Each cow was behind a friend, except for the first cow, who was God. I smiled until one cow near the end jumped in front of a friend. That reminded me of my mother and of my father. It spelled what is there together. I was sorry for the spelling lesson. I turned my face from the glass.
Oh, baby, baby, don't you wanna go? Oh, baby, baby, don't you wanna go to our favorite places, the sweet home, Chicago? Well, 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 3 is 5.
Oh, yeah.
Come along with me for a ride on King Drive. Come on. Baby, don't you wanna go?
Oh, I wanna go
to our favorite places,
to Sabo Museum,
to our favorite places,
Southside Community Arts Center,
to our favorite places,
the Regal,
to our favorite places,
Gladys's,
to our favorite places,
the Grand Ballroom,
to our favorite places,
Woodlawn Library,
to our favorite places,
Washington Park,
and sweet home, Chicago.
The vacant lot. Mrs. Coley's 3-flat brick isn't here anymore. All done with seeing her fat little form burst out of the basement door, and with seeing her African son-in-law, rightful heir to the throne, with his great white strong cold squares of teeth and his little eyes of stone, and with seeing her squat fat daughter letting in the men when Majesty has gone for the day, and letting them out again.
Suppose I had not met those young people in the spring of 1967, or hadn't had something like that happen to me later on. I don't know just what it might have been. Well, I would have been inadequate incomplete. But after that, I said to myself, I hope that what I've written here or am writing here will be of some assistance.
Sometimes you can learn things about people after they're gone. Gwen had passed, and we were clearing out her apartment. And that was my sister Lori, my sister by choice Nora, and I were cleaning. So Lori had to clean out the kitchen. And she went into the dishwasher. And in the dishwasher were books. She did not use her dishwasher for dishes. She stored her books there. So I guess she hand washed her dishes. But just another memory. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Kitchenette building. We are things of dry hours and the involuntary plan, grayed in and gray. Dream makes a giddy sound, not strong, like rent, feeding a wife, satisfying a man. But could a dream send up through onion fumes its white and violet, fight with fried potatoes and yesterday's garbage ripening in the hall, flutter or sing an aria down these rooms? Even if we were willing to let it in, had time to warm it, keep it very clean, anticipate a message, let it begin? We wonder. But not well, not for a minute, since number 5 is out of the bathroom now. We think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it.
Sisters switching. You and I come from a long line of sisters who walk softly and carry big switches in their hands, in their hips, and often with their hands on their hips. Their backbones high and regal, like their cheekbones, and their chins, and even after hard lives, lost victims distill in their ancient hums that rock cradles and prayer meetings and gravesite gatherings. Up yonder, our long line of sisters run ancestral affairs and dream futures into being. Sisters switching.
Hello, my name is Javadi Ryland, and I am 12 years old and am going into 7th grade. Mrs. Brooks' birthday is as splendid as the soul of her achievements. Mrs. Brooks' birthday is as splendid as the soul of her achievements. Thank you.
This is what it sounds like when doves cry. Don't you love how he just came up with the light just perfectly? We are in the home stretch. It is almost done. This wonderful celebration is almost at a close, but not quite. This celebration be a ticket and a half. It'll take you way past where you want to go. Uh-huh. I'm glad some of y'all read Gwendolyn Brooks' work. Very good. So, with that said, what are we getting ready to do, y'all? Ready? Watch the arms. And inhale. You're waiting to exhale, aren't you? Exhale. Very good.
Say to them, say to the down keepers, the sun slappers, the self-soilers, the harmony huskers. Even if you are not ready for day, it cannot always be night. For that is the hard home run. Live not for battles won. Live not for the end of the song. Live in the along. Thank you.
Truth. And if sun comes, how shall we greet him? Shall we not dread him? Shall we not fear him after so lengthy a session with shade? Though we have wept for him, though we have prayed all through the night years, what if we wake one shimmering morning to hear the fierce hammering of his firm knuckles hard on the door? Shall we not shudder? Shall we not flee into the shelter, the dear, thick shelter of the familiar, propitious haze? Sweet is it, sweet is it to sleep in the coolness of snug unawareness. The dark hangs heavily over the eyes.
It's called the Illinois Poet Laureate Awards Competition. I was invited to be a Poet Laureate in January of 1968, and I felt, people kept saying, what does a Poet Laureate do? And I was told when I was asked to take this honor, accept this honor, that my duties would be commensurate with my pay, which is nothing. And I'm very glad to have it nothing, because that gives me an opportunity to think of things on my own to do, and I'm under nobody's official supervision.
Puzzlement. I, partly Nigerian, I, partly Puerto Rican, I have a Nigerian father, a Puerto Rican mother. I am packed in a skin that is tan. I too have a heart on fire. I too want to be proud. I too want to be something and proud. I want to shout, I'm a tan. Thank you.
So this is the Golden Shovel Anthology, new poems honoring Gwendolyn Brooks, co-edited by the magnificent Patricia Smith and Ravi Shankar. And if you haven't deduced by now, basically Terrence Hayes created this form with his poem Golden Shovel after Gwendolyn Brooks, where he took We Real Cool and ran it down the right margin of a poem that he created. So this book has about 300 such poems from people like Maxine Kuhlman, who I read, Patricia, and many others. And I hope it's a unique celebration of Ms. Brooks and something you'll want to check out. So thank you.
Good evening. Other than being a poet and a fiction writer, I am a teacher, and I want to take this moment to acknowledge all the other teachers who are in the room tonight, as well as educators. If you are a teacher, educator, professor, please stand. Yes. That's outstanding. I'm in very good company. Very good company. My sixth grade students were recently introduced to the work of Gwendolyn Brooks, and that was such a powerful moment. They were captivated and curious, and we had a lot of discussion about the meaning of her work. We compared and we contrasted styles and work that she did when she was 13 and work when she did in older years of her beautiful life. And these sixth graders, these 12-year-olds were like, nah, well, why she say that? I mean, they were really captivated. And this poem is a representation of our debates, of our discussions, of our wondering whys, and you will hear it in just a few moments. It is indeed a reflection of happiness, of why this evening is so significant and important, and we are so happy to be a part of it. And I'm representing tonight Reston, Virginia. Amen. Thank you.
At the hairdresser's. Give me an upsweet, Minnie, with humpteen baby curls. About time I got some glamour, I'll show them girls. Think they so fly a-struttin' with they wool a-blowin' round. Wait till they see my upsweep, that'll jop 'em back on the ground. Got Madam C.J. Walkers first, got poor old growers next. Ain't none of 'em worked with me, men. But I ain't vexed. Long hair's out of style anyhow, ain't it? Now it's tied up high with curls. So gimme an upsweet, Minnie. I'll show them girls.
This is from an essay, The Weight of the Word. In spring 1997, Miss Brooks sat with 11 young poets of varying levels every Tuesday evening for 2.5 hours. This was in the Gwendolyn Brooks Center of Black Literature and Creative Writing at Chicago State University, founded by Dr. Madhubuti. It was joy. It was torture. It was Professor Madhubuti who convinced Miss Brooks to lead this one last semester-long poetry workshop. Unfortunately, it was to be her final collegiate class. Miss Brooks in workshop was a marvel and a wonder. She was an igniter of mind riots. She dropped morsels of ideas, clippings from newspapers, poems by authors she admired, assignments in traditional forms, then sat back and watched us scramble, scrap, and heave. All the while, a mischievous wide grin on her dimpled face, rubbing her hands in delight. She loved instigating, agitating. My work benefited from her firm nudging. It also benefited from her fierce red pen.
You know, writers don't die. Our bodies transform, but writers don't die because their work lives, and generations that come up continue to hear the poetry and continue to read the poetry. I think she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And of course, hearing her read, hearing how she conducted her life, hearing how she shared her art was very important. But I would like to, if she were here, I'd like to say happy birthday, Miss Brooks. And I think Chicago should be incredibly proud of the artists Chicago has shared with the world. And of course, Gwendolyn led that parade. She's the one who started that parade.
Art can survive. The last bugle of the last bureaucrat can survive the inarticulate choirs of maketeers, the stolid in stately places, all flabby gallantries, all that will fail. Lending our strength to keep art breathing, we doubly extend, refine, we clarify, leading ourselves the halt, the harried, through the icy carols and bayonets of this hour, the divisions, vanities, the bent flowers of this hour. We hail what heals and sponsors and restores.
A penitent considers another coming of Mary, for Reverend Theodore Richardson. If Mary came, would Mary forgive as mothers may? And sad and second Savior furnish us today? She would not shake her head and leave this military air, but ratify a modern hay and put her baby there. Mary would not punish men if Mary came again. Thank you.
In East Africa, Salah means gentleness. And I admire to be gentle. But I am sucked into earth. I have seen in the movies the quicksand, but I am whipped through the wind. I have seen in the movies the hurricane, hot moving gray, but I am drowning oddly in an odd ocean. I have seen in the movies Moby Dick. Well, now I am coming home. I shall be better after the aspirin and wine.
As everyone can attest, and many will attest, Gwendolyn Brooks was a generous person and a fiercely honest artist. She was kind to me in the 1980s and 90s when I had come here from other places to live and work and write. I remember her thoughtfulness about how to be generous. Not only the prizes she herself gave, but that they were meant to encourage, to embolden poets, to write truly. Someone told me once that the goal of parenting was to give one's children courage for life. Gwendolyn Brooks really was a poetry mother in this sense, having been a loved child and a strong, independent, undaunted young writer and mature writer. I love the great artistry of her work, her courage, and I hold dear the memory of a reading she gave when the Guild Complex used to present programs downstairs in the Chopin Theater. A space packed with listeners. I don't think another person could have squeezed in. All of us wanting and needing her presence. A wonderful reading for an audience that I believe she loved, and that certainly loved and admired her tremendously. An image of her. She's sitting in a comfortable chair with a little side table, giving us her work. As she says in the poem for Sarah Miller, as she says in the poem for Martin Luther King, I could say she is a woman who went forth with gifts.
Well, baby, it's a long way down, a long way down.
How about that? Well, how about that? I knew everybody was going to sleep. Before we move on, I'd like to give a birthday shout out to Miss Shaleva Quo and all the Geminis in the house. Woo! Okay, it's audience participation time. Now, when we do this call and response, I really want to hear a response because I was sitting down there during the first section and the response was like, so I want to hear a response. All right. Wonders do not confuse. But common things surprise us. Easy breathing, then, we brave our next small business. Well behind, our backs they alter. How are we to know? One more? Yes! Thank you!
This is a selection from Brooks's archives at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. My life as a poet. Who does life as a poet? One lives as a human being. In that activity, life as a poet is included, I guess, along with life as a black-eyed pea boiler, life as a baby maker, life as a lecturer, life as a listener, life as a typist for 5 lawyers. I never gave up love, lunch, book reading, movies, restaurant romping, strolling, friend visiting for life as a poeting. Poeting has been always part of this life, my life, as a warm-hearted, resilient, open-eyed human being human.
From Kansas to Chicago.
From Kansas to Chicago.
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
From Wings.
From Wings.
Of encouragement.
Of encouragement.
And the freedom.
And the freedom.
To sing.
To sing.
With your words.
With your words.
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
From poet.
From poet.
Novelist.
Novelist.
Wife.
Wife.
Mother.
Mother.
And teacher.
And teacher.
Pulitzer Prize.
Pulitzer Prize.
Winning author.
Winning author.
And wordsmith achiever.
And wordsmith achiever.
Immense.
Immense.
Imaginative.
Imaginative.
Boundless.
Boundless.
Sentences.
Sentences.
That stir up.
That stir up.
Like a helicopter.
Like a helicopter.
Swoop.
Swoop.
From beautiful.
From beautiful.
Enunciation.
Enunciation.
And thought-provoking.
And thought-provoking.
Elaboration.
Elaboration.
A mighty.
A mighty.
A mighty.
A mighty.
A mighty.
A mighty.
Angelic.
Angelic.
Walking.
Walking.
Celebration.
Celebration.
Woo!
Woo!
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
Because her legacy lives in me.
Her legacy lives in me.
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
I am Gwendolyn Brooks.
Forever.
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 Phenomenally.
Phenomenally.
So there are there's not enough time for the memories that I have. But I will give you 2 quick ones. One, and I don't know if Avery R. Young is in the building, we were at the South Shore Cultural Center, the country club. Because if you lived in the neighborhood, it was a country club. And it was I can't remember, I think Oscar Brown Jr. was there. Can't remember. I had hair, and I had on this black suit. And I'm hosting the show, and I'm giving it I thought I was Don Cornelius. I thought I hit every mark. I did everything. And she sat right in front, and Avery was sitting next to her. Show ends. I go down. I had never met her. I go down. I'm like, Avery, what's up? How'd I do? She's like, yeah, you did okay. I go, how you doing, Ms. Brooks? I'm Mario. And she went, ended up being a good friend of mine, but she went, The second memory was the day she died. Not the day she died, I'm sorry, the funeral. It was me, Tony Asante Lightfoot, I want to say Tyemba, Tina Howell. It's a bunch of us at our house over on Kenwood. I had a conversation with Gwendolyn Brooks after, and I can't remember the lady's name, who worked for the Chicago Cultural Center, and she went to Brazil, and she passed away and never came back home. And Gwendolyn said, you know, Mario, I don't do funerals, I'm not going. The day before she passed, the weather was favorable in Chicago. And I kept thinking, because I was messed up, and I kept thinking, she said she doesn't do funerals, something's gonna happen tomorrow. There was 7 inches of snow. Everybody that tried to come to Chicago for her funeral was delayed except for Tavis Smiley, I want to say Sonia Sanchez, and someone else, I can't remember. Right. And the reason why that is such a memory for me is because I kept hearing her, and I'm in Rockefeller Chapel, basically my eyes were water fountains. And I kept hearing her say, I don't do funerals, Mario, I'm not coming. And that just gave me life, because she did not want to go. and she did everything she could to stay. So yeah, if you want to hear more memories, catch me later.
All right, so this is a song that Miss Brooks used to request me to sing when she would go to elementary schools for poetry competitions. So I need your help. Wake it up, shake your hands out. All right, okay, you'll catch on. We come from the mountain, living in the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the sky, living in the sky. Go back to the sky, turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, only of the Spirit. Only can the Spirit turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, only can the Spirit turn the world around. Turn the world around. Sing it with me. Turn the world around.
For those who are left, I think we should give a big hand for Reg and Michael for coming up with the idea to do this. In 2011, I published a book, Honoring Genius, Gwendolyn Brooks, The Narrative of Craft, Art, Kindness, and Justice. Tyemba talked about her genius, and we recognized that quite early. In the current issue of Poetry Magazine, she's on the cover. I don't know if y'all got it yet. And I'm just going to end up by reading this poem that I did for her in poetry. 33 years is a long time. And as a cultural mother, she was with me longer than my natural mother. I lost my natural mother at 15 years old. And let me just leave it at that. Gwendolyn Brooks, America in the Wintertime. In this moment of orangutans, wolves, and scavengers, of high heat redesigning the North and South poles, and the wanderings of new tribes and limousines, with the confirmation of liars, thieves, and get-over artists, in the wilderness of Pennsylvania Avenue, Standing Rock, misspelled executive orders on yellow paper with crooked signatures. Where are the kind language makers among us? At a time of extreme climate damage, deciphering fake news, alternative truths, and meism, you saw the 21st century and left us, not on your own accord or permission, You have fought and fought most of the 20th century, creating an army of poets who learned and loved language and stories of complicated rivers, seas, and oceans. Where is the kind green nourishment of kale and wheatgrass? You thought, wrote, and lived poetry. Knew that terror is also language-based, on denial, first-isms, and rich cowards. You were honey and yes to us. Never ran from black as in bones, Africa, blood, and questioning yesterdays and tomorrows. We never saw you dance, but you had rhythm. You were a warrior before the war, creating earth, language, uncommon signs and melodies, and then I'd sing the songs of career slaves. Keenly aware of Tubman, Douglas, Wells Barnett, Du Bois, and the oversized consciousness and commitment of never quit people, religiously taking notes on the bloodlust enemies of kindness. We hear your last words. America, if you see me as your enemy, you have no friends.
I neglected to tell you that it was my privilege to write a surprised queenhood in the New Black Sun, The Life and Legacy of Gwendolyn Brooks, which was released just in time to celebrate the centennial of her birth. One wants a teller in a time like this. One's not a man, one's not a woman grown to bear enormous business all alone. One cannot walk this winding street with pride, straight-shouldered, tranquil-eyed, knowing one knows for sure the way back home. One wonders if one has a home. One is not certain if or why or how. One wants a teller now. Put on your rubbers and you won't catch cold. Here's hell, there's heaven. Go to Sunday school. Be patient. Time brings all good things, and cool, strong balm to calm the burning at the brain. Behold, love's true and triumphs, and God's actual.
That time, we all heard it. Cool and clear. Cutting across the hot grit of the day. The major voice. The adult voice. Forgoing rolling river. Forgoing tearful tale of bale and barge. And other symptoms of an old despond. Warning. In music words, devout and large, that we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. Thank you. Yes.
I have a new book of poems coming out in August. Harper will publish it, called In the Mecca, and it's about farm life in an old and very famous building that was here in Chicago. It has been long since torn down. But I was very much impressed with the many lives in that building. No one was ever sure just how many were there, maybe between 1,000 and 2,000. And that's the life that I've tried to picture.
That I'm sure we shall look forward to. And isn't there an idea of an autobiography, too, coming along?
Yes, I'm working on that now, too. Yes.
Well, we shall be very interested to read that, indeed. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Miss Brooks.
Thank you.
That was Gwendolyn Brooks, distinguished poet. This is Bridget Lay, Voice of America, Washington.
Thank you, Miss Brooks.
All right. Shall I hang up now?
Yes.
All right. Bye.
I want to thank everybody that made it through. I know we camped out a little longer than we planned to, but I hope that you each found something in this evening that made the extra hanging out worth it. So I'm certainly not keeping you here any longer. I just want to thank our sponsors. We have outside, we do have champagne, well, technically sparkling wine because it didn't come from a small area in France. But cake. And we want to thank Vanille Bakery for that. But University of Chicago for everything that they have done and they continue to do during the centennial. Third World Press Foundation, Poetry Foundation, because they have had their toe in a whole bunch of centennial different things. So we also want to thank Brooks Permissions and so many other people, but and organizations, and for the time, but especially the organization that took the lead on this and has contributed so much time and other forms of contribution, including money. We want to thank Guild Literary Complex for that. So thank you. Like many of you at this point, I'm a little brain dead, so if I have forgotten somebody, please, everybody forgive me. So we're going to close. The group that you've been hearing sing, APG, Aurora Performance Group, is part of Brooks Permissions. And in the fall, we're going to start actually going around to schools and other places performing music, the poems, what you've heard them sing and what you'll hear them sing next. Everything you've heard them sing tonight except Jubilation, which was written by a composer who's no longer with us, David K. Smith, and a lyricist that you have met before, me. But other than that, then everything else are all words that were written by Gwendolyn Brooks. And that is especially true of Aurora because it's the last poem in her book In Montgomery, and it also means the dawn of anything. So wishing you, because you've almost been here until dawn. So wishing you bright dawns in the future, wishing that you think of, if you've gotten anything out of tonight, what you can do to continue the legacy forward and in all the different ways that you can do that, to be our centennial soldiers. And with that, I'd like to introduce Aurora Performance Group, that would actually be that way. Aurora Performance Group, I told you I was brain dead. Singing Aurora. Thank you, enjoy your champagne and cake afterwards, and have a wonderful evening.
weak and wonderful, wicked, bewildered, wistful, and wild, saying direct good mornings through the fever. It is the giant hour. Nothing less than gianthood will do. Nothing less than move, approve, or shove or cover.
Lever diver for giant tacklings of turnings, new organic stirrings that will involve us all.
We say direct good mornings through the fever. Across the blooming ocean, the dilted and ashes. Across the importance and pitted and filled.
Across the edited bias, the waffling of a woman,
The structured rejection of blackness. Ready for waves. Windows. Remodeling spirals. Closing the hot cliches.
unwinding witchcraft,
opening to sun, opening to sun, opening to sun. Wistful and